Hi, my name is Ricky Johnson, and I'll be your TA this semester for Genetics Laboratory 3311. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you. Um, and we're going to go over this PowerPoint real quick. I'll talk about the syllabus a little bit, but we will, let me get this out of the way. You really don't want to look at my face so much. Let's start out here with the course. Let's see, this is giving us an issue. There we go. This is Biology 3311. It's Genetics Laboratory at U of H. And normally, of course, we would be meeting on campus because of COVID. This is a completely online lab. So the primary professor for this course, which will do most of the lecture, is Dr. O'Brien. So he should be giving you videos and sending you things as well as myself. I'm your TA. I'll be doing a lot of the grading, etc. Dr. Bryant is in charge of all the TAs and overall for this class. But I'm your first person of contact. So please contact me if you've got a problem. And if need be, we'll contact Dr. Bryant, and then if something else happens, we'll contact the next person. But you go through me first. That's to make for sure that people who are in charge of thousands of people don't get overwhelmed. Please, with COVID and the way we're having to do online things, please go through the so-called chain of command. All right, let me go to the next slide here. Like I said, my name's Ricky Johnson, and we have two sections that I'm in charge of, which are 13745 and 15047, and I'll be referring to those either as those numbers or as Tuesday and Thursday. So you may be 13745, which is on Tuesday here, or 15047, which is on Thursday. Both of you are scheduled for 2:30 to 5:30 for live meetings. Now, the main thing that I want you to emphasize here is this is an asynchronous 100% online course. Now, asynchronous means that you watch videos, you do not necessarily at some specific time go and meet with the professor or with other students. Everything is at your convenience, so to speak. Now, there may be a case or two where I want to call an actual live meeting. If I do, it will be on your day and your time. So for 13745, I will call, if there ever is a live meeting, I will call it on Tuesday from 2:30 to 5:30. If you are in 15047, it will be from Thursday at 2:30 to 5:30. All right, so live meetings, very rare thing. I probably won't call it. Now, I may have office hours where I just open up and give you office hours at 10 p.m. on Mondays. All right, we can also do this individually by appointment, but at this point, it's Monday at 10 p.m. That is my office hour, and it will be with Zoom. So I will send out a Zoom link probably on Sunday, and it will have allow us to connect on Mondays at 10. If you're not familiar with Zoom, you will have to become familiar with Zoom. There are several things computer-wise and software-wise that you're going to have to become familiar with in this course. You do need a computer, you do need internet connection, etc., camera, and microphone associated with that. Most laptops today come with those. So just understand this concept of asynchronous. It means that I'm going to give you lots of YouTube videos, for instance, that I will make and I will post on YouTube, and I will give you the link on Blackboard. So of course, if you're not familiar with Blackboard, you must also become familiar with Blackboard. All right, so I'm going to move on. I'm good about giving videos and links. I'm going to start today with email. I'll be sending emails to each of you, and I will probably go ahead and post this video on YouTube and just give you a link to it as well. This will be on the posted by Dr. O'Brien or later today, but I'll probably send you an email as well. All right, so let's go to the next. We've kind of looked over the course review and syllabus review. I will be reviewing the syllabus as well with you, as well as the material that's on. We probably won't get through all of the material in these slides. There'll probably be a second video with the rest of these slides later on as well. But I want to get at least through some of the basics with you today here on these slides, at least in this video. Like I said, there'll be more. So the course review, syllabus review, that's kind of what we're doing. I'll do a quick review of Mendelian genetics and get into the Drosophila. I'll give you another video for the semester project and the explanation of basic techniques. All right, so moving now, what do we need the first week? Online lab manual, it's on Blackboard, so you're gonna have to learn some Blackboard. Maybe I'll give a review on Blackboard as well, a little rundown of how it works. Bound laboratory notebook. You will need a laboratory notebook written. There was talk of getting an online one, but I think you need to start with the regular written one. Maybe later we'll do the electronic one. Right now, you'll just need a notebook from which you keep your notes, etc. All right. If everything were synchronized, we would have activities. If we do have synchronized activities, you are required to attend. And of course, I gave you those times earlier, so just be aware of that. Here are some of the rules. More than 15 minutes is late is an absence. Please refer to the syllabus, page 2, and participation. All right, plagiarism. They're going to talk about this in lecture, but let me be clear. We have zero tolerance for plagiarism. Now, this is all online. It may promote plagiarism more. It may reduce it. I do not know, but it crops up occasionally, and there's a lot of writing in this course, and it's actually easy without realizing it to plagiarize something. You may not have been intentionally doing it, but it's very easy to do by accident even. So be aware of it. Don't run into troubles later on. It will cause you a big hassle more than anything else. So be aware of the rules and be aware of how to avoid plagiarism. And I may do a whole video on nothing but that. All right, I like videos if you haven't figured that out, or you will. So there'll be lots of videos posted by me. All right, here's our course grades. Exam 1 and Exam 2 worth 100 points. Your quizzes are worth 96. We do have several of them, average of 4. We may have more, we may have less. Writing assignments 1 to 4. Now that's what most of your grade is from. There'll be references to something called WAs. WAs are writing assignments. 1 through 4 are worth 250 points roughly, about 2.5 exams, give you an idea. And then we have writing assignment 5, which is worth most of the points in this class, really, roughly a third, more than a third. So writing assignment 5 is the big one at the end. Luckily, a lot of these assignments here, 1 through 4, build on 5. So you can take parts from writing assignments 1 through 4 often and put them into 5. So it's not quite as overwhelming. It is a very large paper. All right, you may have heard about it. People talk about this course and that paper constantly. I constantly get asked about it. It's probably not going to be quite as long this semester. It's certainly not going to be some ridiculous 45, 50 pages. All right, we've reduced that. Almost impossible to produce that size of a paper in any reasonable amount of time, I believe, if you're a beginning writer. Most of you are probably beginning writers. You're still in college, of course. You're not English majors. So this paper will probably be closer to 25 or 30 pages. And that alone probably scares you. I understand that. Believe me, I will help you with it. And we have these previous assignments that we will work with, putting them together to make the larger one. All right. So bonus work, I don't know where that's going right now, but we typically do have some bonus points, some extra credit for you to obtain. Let's see. Uh, you know, general idea here. Don't, you know, be polite. That's generally the way it is. Don't use profane language, etc. Um, be courteous. And hey, I'm about as easygoing as you're going to get. Um, Email me. I'll reply. You know, I'm. You can ask me pretty much anything except for what the answers on the test are. Uh, there are no stupid questions to me. Uh, Go ahead and give me a call, text me, email me. I'll be giving you all this information. You have my email already. We can Zoom or whatever you want to do. All right. Make sure you attend all or watch all the videos. Actually, that's what's going on. If we do something live, you are required to participate in that. If it's at the required times, that means the times of the section, the 2:30 to 5:30. But other times you are not required to attend live. But if I post a video, you are required to watch that at some point. So if I post 20 videos in 1 week, which who knows, I might do that. You need to watch all of those videos. Oh, they're all required. They like reading the textbook, and I tell you, there are chapters in the textbook for you to read. Well, that's fair material. If I post a video, I send you an email with a link to a video. Make sure you cover all emails I send, all links I put on Blackboard, etc. All of that is part of the class, and it may be part of your tests or quizzes or writing assignments. Probably more of your writing assignments. All right, questions. Email, text, call, follow up about the requirements, the course policies, the rules, and the grading. I will probably post another video going over just the individual assignments and how they work out. Now moving on to basic terms, let's actually move into some content here. Phenotype and genotype. Now here we have a couple of very generic terms that you have to learn in genetics. If you've had regular genetics, you're used to them hopefully in intro biology, you learned these terms. But there's phenotype and there's genotype. I always tell people your phenotype's what you look like. All right, your behavior or whatever you can see or the do is a phenotype. A genotype is what your genes say. All right, so genotype. So this is the DNA, the allele that causes you to behave or look this way. So a genotype is what your genes say. Your phenotype is what you look like or do. All right, so this is a phenotype, it's a genotype. Make sure you have those two terms memorized and you're real. Ploidy is simply the number of chromosomes you have. Your DNA is wound up into chromosomes. I study chromosomes. I'll probably give you a whole video on my background at some point, just to give you, like I said, I do lots of videos. But I study molecular genetics and specifically chromosome evolution. So ploidy is just the number of chromosome sets. So you have sets of chromosomes which have pretty much the same genes on them. So I have two, for instance, chromosome 1s. I also have two chromosome 7s, etc. We are diploid. In other words, all of our chromosomes, we come with two sets. We get one from one parent and one from another. And all of our normal cells in our body have both copies. We do have parts of our bodies that may only have one, and those are your reproductive cells, and they are haploids. Those haploid cells, all right, only have one copy of your chromosomes. Your regular cells have two, and ploidy is the name or the term that we use for how many we have. Now, we're diploid, so di, diploid, diploidy, or diploid, and that means we have two sets, all right? And as a normal case, haploid, we do have some cells that are haploid. Some organisms have multiple sets, by the way, so they could be quadruploid or tetraploid or something like that. Plants often, you'll find, have this property. All right, Mendelian genetics, blending hypothesis and the particulate hypothesis. The blending says that you blend traits like what color a flower is, and when they blend from the parents produce genetic material that blends together, mixes to create something new. Whereas you have the particulate hypothesis, where parents pass on individual traits and you can only be like one thing. Your parent might have blue eyes, one parent, and the other one might have brown eyes, and you can either be brown eyes or blue eyes, but you don't mix them like in the blending. And both of these are correct, depending on the trait or the character that we're talking about. Um, you may get blending, you may get particulate. Uh, it depends on the individual trait and the genes that are involved. All right, now Mendel is the first geneticist. He pretty much founded genetics, classical genetics anyhow. Today we call it molecular genetics. At the genetics that we will begin this course with, in which Mendel discovered, are called classical or Mendelian genetics. All right. Mendel had two contrasting true breeding varieties of peas, and he said you could breed those together and mate them, and you would get something called hybridization. If you had true breeding plants, in other words, if he could just breed them together and they always got the same trait. So you had green peas, you keep breeding those peas together and they are always green, that is true breeding. However, if occasionally you get a yellow pea or something, that's not true breeding. So keep in mind, there are a lot of terms here that you need to know. You need to understand what hybrid is, and you need to know P. P stands for the parent generation. So the plants you start with, for instance, if you're breeding plants or flies or whatever you're breeding. The F1 are the children, and the F2 are the grandchildren. All right, so keep this in mind when you're looking at something like this. Now, we're talking here about plants, so we have a little like view of what I'm talking about. So here's the P generation where we're going to cross a purple flower and a white flower. So these are the parents, they're the starting generation, and you breed them, you get the F1, and they're all hybrids. They're all some combination of the parents. We're not for sure how, but it looks like with this first picture that they're all purple. And then you get the grandchildren, and the grandchildren are purple, but that white has snuck in there. There are a few of them, 1 in 3, something like that, 1 in 4, that are going to be white, if you see here. So you see that you get 3 times as many flowers that are purple than are white, and that's the recessive trait, which we will talk about in great detail later. All right. If the flower, the one that you had the most flowers in, this is the dominant trait, the purple. So purple is dominant, and then we call the white recessive, as I said. And like I said, we will talk at great length about this at some point. Alternative versions of genes account for variations in inherited characters. So yeah, we all have different versions of a gene. We all have a gene for eye color or hair color, but you know that you have different versions of eye color genes, and some people get brown eyes and some people get blue eyes. There are mutations which cause different versions of genes to exist in a population, and we call those alleles. So this is a different version of an individual gene. So you have some DNA, all right, and that DNA causes you to have a particular eye color, and it's that piece of DNA is at a certain point in the chromosome, and that represents the gene for that trait that you have, or that character, which we call eye color. Now, you have different versions because there have been mutations over the years, and so we all have different eye colors we inherited from our parents. Those different versions that are slightly different mutants to each other, those are called alleles. All right, and I will have a video on this specifically. The location of the gene is important. It's on a chromosome, and the allele, you'll have 2 chromosomes, of course, and if they're the same, they have the same genes on them, we call them homologous pairs. You got one of these from mom and one of these from dad. And on this one, you get the purple gene. On this one, you get the white gene. And of course, which one are you going to have? Well, you're gonna have purple. If you're a flower, you're going to be purple because the purple one is dominant over the white one. So whenever they come together inside of a single organism, the purple one here is the one that dominates over the white, and so you end up being purple. If you had two whites, you'd be white. If you have two purples, you're purple. But if you have both purple and white, you are purple because purple is dominant in this particular case. In this particular gene, the purple is dominant over white. That's the way you say that. Diploid organisms, we're just going over those terms right here. So here are the more technical terms for this. I have videos on all of this for you, for all of it specifically. Like I said, if you have two of the same, like you have two white alleles, then you are called homozygous, homo being the same, and zygous being the nature of your being, you, the zygous, the cellular part, the essence of you, your zygote, the zygous aspect of it. So homozygous, so you have two traits that are two parts of your essence that are the same. You have two alleles and they're both the same. If you have two different alleles, you're called heterozygous, hetero meaning different. So you have two different alleles. So you have purple and white. We will be doing some statistics in here, and you have to understand ratios. So understand a 3-to-1 ratio means that out of 4, 3 of the children are going to be purple, and 1, for instance, is going to be white. All right, that's what the ratio aspect of it is. Now we're going to be using something called Punnett squares. I'll have videos on those as well that I will be posting on YouTube. This is a Punnett square down here, and it represents the results of you crossing these two flowers. You cross these two flowers, then you cross, here we're showing crossing the children, and ultimately the grandchildren will look like this, where you have 3 purples. This is the same case we had earlier. So you have 3 purples and 1 white, and this is called a Punnett square. Here are your parents, all right, male and female, you put them together, and you have a ratio of 3-to-1. So like I said, I have lots of videos for you already made that have to do with this. All right, here's just doing the same thing, kind of going over them, just a different way to display it. These are called crosses, and a reciprocal cross is just when you pair males and females in a box in a Punnett square. These are just different terms for the same thing. This is your standard setup, and like I said, I have specific videos for this. So just understand, we will be talking about monohybrid cross. So that means like one trait. We're just looking at big A, whatever trait, big A, and it's A, I should say. A is the trait. It could be hair color or something like that. It represents an allele. And the capital letter represents the dominant allele. That, in our case, the purple one, the one that always shows up if it's there. It's the one that expresses itself more strongly, if you like. And the little a expresses itself in a recessive manner, and it can be covered up by the big letter. So big letter means dominant, little letter means recessive. All right. You may also have dihybrid traits where you look at 2 traits in an organism at once. So here we have, or I should say character. The big A should be considered a trait and little a trait. Together they make up a character. So think of that as A being the character. A is flower color, but big A is a trait. Big A is purple. Little a is a trait. It is white. All right. And so B is a different character. This is, you know, stem length or flower shape or something like that. So B would be a different character. A is the character that we would call flower color. Alternate versions are alleles. Let's see, for each character, an organism inherits 2 alleles. All right, so you get two of these. A lot of people would characterize an allele as just a different version of a gene. That's one way to look at it. And I'll go over the exactness of that definition later. We do have the law of segregation. Just two alleles separate independently. And that's not always correct. We have, like I said, we have various laws, and we break those laws very often, actually, but you do have to memorize the laws. All right, so that's Mendelian genetics. That's the end of this video. I just wanted to introduce it and introduce myself, something for you to listen to. You got to see my face. I probably won't show my face very often. That's not what this is about. But, and it did slow down. We had some issues with the computer when we did that. So I have an excuse not to show you my handsome face there. All right, well, this is the end of this video. I'll be sending you a lot more videos later.